This woman transmigrated into a book as a doomed side character. The next second, her husband's family forced her to kneel on the ground for 3 hours. Suddenly, she heard a cat speak. The cat warned that the hot soup offered to her was poisoned, but she had already drunk it. Immediately, she collapsed. Just then, the cat told her the antidote was hidden under the vase base. The family called a doctor. The doctor only wanted to give her vitamins. At that moment, she woke up and realized her power to hear animals was real. The next second, the family ordered her to clean a deadly garden. The orchids there had killed previous workers. Unexpectedly, she agreed, but demanded one condition. Her meals would be paid for. Then, the butler handed her a bottle of liquid. Suddenly, the cat screamed. It was herbicide, not plant food. She immediately exposed the butler in front of everyone. The next second, a doctor laughed at her for talking to plants. He said the orchids were dying from a fungus. Just then, she heard a plant say it was dizzy and needed iron. At that moment, she announced the plant had anemia. The doctor called her crazy. Immediately, she borrowed a phone and played rock music for the flower. The plant revived within 5 minutes. Then, her rival tried to hand her a cup of tea. Suddenly, the cat warned that the rival had hidden poison in her sleeve and was rubbing it on the cup. The next second, the woman knocked the cup to the ground. The tea spilled all over the rival's dress. Just then, a small noise came from the rival's handbag. The cat said it was a listening device and told her to crush it. Unexpectedly, she immediately stepped on the bag and destroyed the bug. The rival screamed and ordered her to leave the room. But the woman smiled and walked out first. The rival suddenly screamed that her diamond necklace was missing. She immediately accused the woman of stealing it. The rival demanded a full body search. Just then, the woman asked the boss to trust her. The next second, the rival's bag was searched. Nothing was found inside. Suddenly, a voice cried out from the drain pipe. The necklace had been flushed down the toilet. But then, an animal retrieved it from the sewer pipe and brought it back. At that moment, the rival presented a video as proof of theft. Unexpectedly, the woman pointed at a plant. The leaves in the video were drooping, but the real leaves right now were standing up. She revealed the video was from yesterday. The boss immediately ordered yesterday's footage. The rival's lie collapsed. Just then, the retrieved necklace appeared, covered in filth. The rival had nothing left to say. The next second, the woman whispered a password to the boss's safe. She also described a burn scar under his collarbone. She claimed the tree told her. Immediately, the boss became suspicious. Then, the rival and her aunt planned a deadly scheme. They prepared a flower pollen that causes deep coma. Their target was the family's elderly grandfather. They planned to alter his medical records so he would never wake up. Suddenly, an old tree recorded their entire conversation. The woman dug under the tree and found a hidden phone card and secret photos. Just then, the boss caught her digging. He demanded the box. She handed it over. Unexpectedly, the box contained evidence of an affair. The next second, the boss handed her a check. He commanded her to tell no one about what she found. He reminded her she was only an arranged wife. At that moment, he ordered her to pack her things. They were going to the family's construction site together. This woman stood in front of a construction site. Suddenly, she heard the plants whisper that a royal tomb lay 3 meters below the ground. The tomb held a golden bowl. Just then, her rival called the police to arrest her for disturbing the site. But the next second, the workers struck ancient bricks. Immediately, the rival's face changed. Then, the cat told the woman that a hidden ledger was buried under a flower pot in the prayer hall. At that moment, she dug it up. The ledger proved the rival had been importing toxic pollen to poison the old grandfather. Unexpectedly, the grandfather collapsed from heart failure. The rival immediately refused to release the antidote. She forced the husband to sign away his inheritance first. Just then, the woman noticed smoke rising from an incense burner. Suddenly, she shouted that the incense was laced with poison. The husband ordered a test. The next second, the rival lied about the incense coming from a holy temple. But the husband smelled chemicals and threw the rival out. At that moment, the woman declared that normal serum could not save the grandfather. Only a rare herb called Dragon Creek grass could. Immediately, she ran out to find it. Then the rival pushed the woman off a cliff. The woman woke up badly injured. But the next second, she saw the herb right in front of her. Unexpectedly, she reached out and grabbed it. The woman found the rare herb. Just then, a stray dog appeared and led her out of the cliff area through a hidden path. She rushed back to the dying grandfather. At that moment, the rival was forcing him to press his thumbprint on a property transfer document. The woman immediately fed the grandfather the herb drink. The rival laughed and called it rotten garbage. Unexpectedly, black smoke rose from the grandfather's head. The next second, he opened his eyes and asked for water. The grandfather declared the woman the family's savior. He ordered 50 million yuan transferred to her account. But the next second, she transferred the entire amount to a stray cat neutering fund. The husband asked why she gave away the money she always wanted. Suddenly, she replied that money could be earned again, but a lost conscience could not. She added that cats do not pretend to like someone. Just then, the rival secretly ordered someone to buy a moss-covered mine. She planned to trap the woman there. Then, the rival announced she was pregnant with the husband's child. She claimed he got drunk one night. The husband denied it, saying he was at a meeting. At that moment, the woman stepped closer to the rival. She smelled the rival's breath. Unexpectedly, she said the pregnancy smelled like radish stew. The rival screamed. The woman immediately declared there was no fetal heartbeat. She said the rival only had stomach gas from eating sweet potatoes. Just then, a cat found an old pregnancy test box from 2018 in the litter box. The woman held it up. The rival demanded to go to the hospital for an ultrasound. But the next second, the husband called the police. He reported the rival for massive fraud. The woman heard a tree tell her exactly where to dig. Just then, the husband's mother revealed the rival had switched her medicine. The husband realized he had wronged many people. The next second, he grabbed the woman and headed to the hospital. Suddenly, the rival confessed to pushing someone down the stairs. She also admitted to poisoning the soup and burning the first wife's ashes. At that moment, the husband's hand stopped. Police were already at the door. The rival immediately ordered her men to kidnap the woman. She offered $5 million for the job. Then, a hungry dog smelled chicken on a guard's uniform. The woman promised the dog 2 fresh chicken legs every day. She also promised an air-conditioned room and leadership of the local dog union. The next second, the dog agreed to help. The rival's guard released a starved attack dog to kill the woman. Unexpectedly, the bribed dog barked and charged at the guard instead. The guard screamed. The woman escaped. Just then, the rival revealed she had not come to kill the woman. She had already taken what she wanted, a safe. Suddenly, she triggered a bomb. The dog shouted a warning. The woman ran. The husband had an allergic reaction and collapsed. The woman dragged him out. The next second, the rival laughed, holding the safe. At that moment, the woman appeared. She was not dead. The rival screamed and called her a monster. Unexpectedly, the woman said even the trees found the rival ugly. Immediately, a tree whispered to tear the rival apart. The rival froze. The next second, police arrived. The rival collapsed to the ground. The road was destroyed. The helicopter could not take off. The husband went into severe allergic shock. The woman gave him honey and citrus tea. Just then, a tree whispered that the husband had a secret safe. Inside was a photo of her taken when he was 5 years old. The tree said he had loved her for nearly 20 years, but was too stubborn to admit it. Suddenly, the rival's accomplice revealed a bribe. She had received $3 million to lie about the woman laundering money. The next second, the husband heard the recording. He called it fake. At that moment, the husband announced he was not allergic to cats or pollen. His rashes were a stress reaction. He apologized for years of misunderstanding. Unexpectedly, he promised not to separate and to give her a romantic wedding. Just then, the rival laughed. She revealed the husband was not the real heir. He was the son of a nanny. The real heir had been swapped at birth. The husband demanded the truth from the tree. The next second, the tree confirmed the swap. The real baby had been taken and hidden inside the courtyard for 20 years. Suddenly, the butler stepped forward. The tree immediately shouted a warning. The butler wanted to kill them. The husband asked who the real heir was. The butler called him a bastard. At that moment, the woman noticed a recording pen in the butler's pocket. A bird cried out that the real recording was in the bird's brain. The bird revealed the butler had been ordered to kill the real baby. But he could not do it. The child survived. The butler confessed. He had not killed the baby. He swapped the children back. The husband was the real heir all along. Suddenly, the butler revealed the rival had murdered the husband's mother and crippled his father. The next second, the rival's men stormed in. The butler screamed at them to run. Just then, the rival appeared. She had gotten out of custody. Immediately, she ordered her men to attack. The woman found a number under a table. It was a password. At that moment, an old tree shouted that the rival was the killer. The rival ordered poison vines to be thrown. Unexpectedly, the vines attacked the rival herself. She screamed for help. The couple escaped. The woman held a DNA report. The next second, the husband saw the result. 0% relation to his supposed mother. He asked who he was. The woman declared the rival had forged the report. The real evidence was hidden. Just then, a parrot screamed that it had heard everything in the study. The rival had lied. The rival immediately ordered an attack on the grandfather's resort. She announced an explosion was just the appetizer. She threatened to destroy the family's entire foundation, buried underground. At that moment, the woman shouted about the national relics and the archaeological team below. A cave-in began. The woman begged the old banyan tree to hold up the ground. The roots held. The husband told her to run first. Unexpectedly, she refused. She said they would leave together. The couple was trapped underground. The woman joked about burning all her money as ghost paper if she died. Just then, the husband's palm began to glow. At that moment, they found a family token. The token could command the entire household. Unexpectedly, a lighter lay next to it. The husband recognized the lighter model. It matched the one that started the old mansion fire. The next second, a photo fell out. The man in the photo looked exactly like the rival. He was the rival's dead father, the former driver. He had colluded with the older villain. The husband's mother did not die in an accident. It was murder. Suddenly, a tree shouted that the older villain had no right to join the family. The real evidence was hidden in a wine jar inside a secret room. They searched, using an old map. The room was not there. Just then, a cat said it knew the real location, because the new mansion was built on top of the old foundation. They entered the secret room. The next second, they found the butler's body. It was still warm. Someone had just killed him. At that moment, a laser sight appeared on the husband's chest, but it was a fake. Just a bluff. Then, the rival ran in crying. She begged for forgiveness. She claimed the older villain forced her to do everything. She offered to confess and provide evidence. Suddenly, the cat smelled sulfur on the rival. The cat revealed the rival had divided stolen goods with the older woman late last night. The two of them had laughed like rotten tomatoes. The rival pretended to stab herself. The husband grabbed her hand to stop her. Just then, a poisonous insect crawled toward the husband. It wanted to inject venom into his veins. The woman immediately shouted a warning. She stopped the insect. A spider was hiding inside the rival's sleeve. The spider had been calling for its mother all morning. The rival's final trap had failed. The rival tried to run away. Suddenly, a small animal revealed a transfer record inside her crocodile leather handbag. The record proved she had hired a killer. The next second, the police grabbed her and took her away. Just then, the older villain smiled. The plan had failed, but the seed of doubt was planted. She immediately called for a shareholder meeting the next morning. She would remove the husband from the company. At the meeting, the older villain presented a false DNA report. She declared the husband had no right to lead. The woman stood up. Unexpectedly, she brought a potted plant as a witness. The plant spoke. It said 3 years ago, on a rainy August day, the older villain wore a red dress. She practiced forging the grandfather's signature with her left hand. She ruined 7 pieces of paper and threw them away. A drop of ink fell into a crack on the table. She could not clean it out. The older villain screamed. But the next second, the plant revealed she had spoken on the phone. She said, the old man's hand shook too much. She had to do the forgery herself. At that moment, the older villain laughed. She pulled out an account book with the husband's mother's private seal. She announced the husband was not a real heir. The grandfather collapsed. The other family members turned against the husband. The husband prepared to leave. Just then, a voice shouted that the older villain had stolen the seal. The real evidence was hidden in a secret compartment inside the mother's red wooden keepsake box. The husband paused. The woman immediately declared she would go dig up the older villain's ancestral grave. Then, she corrected herself. She would find the real evidence. The older villain suddenly hugged the husband. She claimed she made many mistakes but loved him as her real son. She handed him a letter. The woman read the letter. It revealed the husband's mother had faked the DNA report on purpose. She did it to protect the real heir from being killed. The next second, the husband realized he was truly the family's blood. Just then, a strange woman appeared. She carried a baby doll that had no breath. She called herself the husband's real mother. The cat immediately whispered the doll was fake plastic. The woman exposed the lie on the spot. The strange woman demanded half the family fortune. At that moment, the older villain laughed. The husband did not know the truth. The woman threatened to call the media. The stock price would crash. The next second, the woman sent a cat to follow the strange woman. The cat reported she went to a private club in the western suburbs. Suddenly, a USB drive fell from the sky. It contained a video. In the video, the strange woman confessed she was acting. The older villain was working with overseas funds to crash the family stock price. They planned to cash out $3 billion from a resort project. Just then, the woman found the rival also had a poisonous bead. The older villain had left a backup trap. The husband wanted to go save someone despite the danger. The woman immediately stopped him. It was too risky. The woman decided to confront the villain herself. She asked a small plant to alert every animal at the West Port. The next second, police were dispatched to protect her. Just then, the villain revealed the herb only temporarily suppressed the grandfather's poison. The real cure required a poisonous bead inside a box. The villain demanded the USB drive with evidence. The woman refused. Suddenly, the villain ordered her men to attack. At that moment, a large dog appeared. The dog attacked the thugs and protected the woman. Unexpectedly, the villain released a black panther. The woman shouted that the poisonous bead was fake. The real one was elsewhere. A crab had told her. Immediately, the villain grabbed a bottle of toxic liquid. She threatened to poison the air and kill everyone. The husband inhaled the toxic gas. He told the woman to run. She refused. She said they would die together. Just then, another dog led them to a safe exit. At the hospital, the woman threatened the doctors. She said if the husband died, she would destroy the hospital. The next second, she told the husband the real will was buried under the third root of an old locust tree. Only that will could let him inherit the family. The dog immediately dug up an iron box. At the board meeting, the older villain and the rival forced the family to sign a transfer agreement. Suddenly, the woman burst in with the iron box. Unexpectedly, the woman pointed to a tree root wrapped around the box. The root was alive. It had grown around the box for years. A slice of the root would prove exactly how long the box had been buried. No one could argue with that. The tree root spoke. It told everyone its root grew around the iron box 5 years and 3 months ago. The older villain had not even entered the family back then. A professional confirmed the root's age could not be faked. The grandfather had written the will 5 years earlier while still healthy. The older villain lost that round. Just then, she escaped. The husband ordered a full city lockdown. No one was allowed to leave. Suddenly, a cat reported the older villain was hiding in the western abandoned air raid shelter. She was assembling drones loaded with toxic blue powder. The powder would cause neural paralysis across the entire city in 10 minutes. The husband and the woman split up. He took a team through the front door. She entered secretly through the back. At that moment, the older villain released the drones. A large dog charged at her. The woman called the dog off. The next second, she found a hidden ledger under a floor tile. The ledger recorded every single embezzlement from the family company. The older villain screamed and tried to grab it. The dog stopped her. The husband arrived. He was severely allergic to dog hair but refused to leave. Unexpectedly, the older villain threw a poison needle. The needle struck the husband. The poison was intravenous. There was no antidote. She laughed and said she would die with him. The woman forced him to spit. He told her it was useless. Just then, a tree revealed an old crime. The older villain had swapped the woman's medical report years ago. She had made the report show hepatitis B. That false report caused the family to force the woman to break off the engagement. The older villain froze. She screamed and asked how anyone could know. The next second, the police grabbed her and dragged her away.